Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, yes, I am camping again. Yes, it's another absolutely gorgeous day out. It wasn't a gorgeous night though. There was thunderstorms throughout the night, but I guess the lightning and everything did make everything pretty beautiful. But overall here, it's a little bit warm. It's going to be hot and muggy, I think, today. So come along with me on my morning walk and let's talk some news. So first up on the docket, we're talking about PlayStation 4 emulation with ShadPS4. And ShadPS4 seems to be getting better in leaps and bounds. In fact, there's a brand new fork, a new-ish fork of ShadPS4 where the developer is still working on the ShadPS4 project, so it's not necessarily a questionable fork. And that fork of ShadPS4 seems to be booting some very big games. Now, a lot of this gameplay can be found on the ShadPS4 Discord, and there is a video on YouTube here I'd recommend checking out from John God Games Emus. And it shows a whole bunch of stuff in game and something playable here you might be surprised about. So Knack and the Lost Guardian are in game, and I wouldn't necessarily say playable, but they are in game, as well as Infamous Second Son and Killzone Shadowfall. There is some huge advancements for those games, and I'm very impressed to see where they're currently at. And God of War 3 Remastered, you might be excited about that one because I would argue it's kind of playable. I mean, the frame rates are there, 50 to 60 frames per second. But there are a ton of visual artifacts. John's video is like over an hour long, so it should give a pretty good idea as to what's booting, what's playable, and what's not. I mean, you can always check out the compatibility report, and I'd recommend checking out their Discord for even more information. But this is a pretty good summary of things so far, and I think ShadPS4 is shaping up extremely well. Now, if you are curious about this fork, it's the XCEDF fork of ShadPS4, and if you're interested in learning more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. And speaking about emulation, next up we're talking about Igir. And for those who may not be aware, Igir is a zero-setup ROM collection manager that sorts, filters, extracts, or archives, patches, and reports on collections of any size on any OS. And Igir just got a big brand new update. So at the time of filming, Igir version 4.0.0 is the latest update. And before we go further, this isn't a fluff, it's not really a slime, but it's a turtle. One of the perks of this park is it's by water, and there are a lot of frogs and toads and turtles. And there we go. Look at it go. It's going pretty fast. I'm not going to bother it too much here because obviously it's trying to get to wherever it needs to go. But there is a very nice sighting first thing in the morning. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I know I did. Anyways, here I'm on the beach. I don't know if I'm going to stay here for very long because the wind and water are extremely loud. But anyways, in version 4.0.0, they say as Igir approaches its 3rd birthday in August, it remains one of the most feature-rich ROM managers available. The project continues to be a labor of love, and I greatly appreciate everyone who uses my tool, and especially those who provide feedback. If you've used Igir before, one of the things you'll notice right away is a brand new look and feel. Igir got a brand new visual overhaul, and a pretty big one at that. They say it should still feel familiar with similar colors and information displayed, but it did get a visual overhaul. There is now torrent zip and RVZ STD support. There's better candidate generation and a whole lot more. There is quite a bit in this, and I do recommend checking out the GitHub for all of the information on the entire changelog here, or else I could be reading for like 20 minutes. And on a side note here, I think one of the features a lot of people will appreciate is that Sega Dreamcast GD-ROMs are now parsed as .q and bin. But moving on, and still talking about stuff on GitHub, next up we're talking about a very interesting project here that just is available now in alpha. And this is called Graphite, your procedural toolbox for 2D content creation. Now, I haven't had a chance to check this one out yet, but they say here Graphite is a free open source vector and raster graphics engine available now in alpha. Get creative with a fully non-destructive editing workflow that combines layer-based compositing with node-based generative design. If you've used Graphite, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Overall, I think this is a pretty neat project, and I'm very curious to see where it goes from here. And speaking about being curious about stuff, next up here is a tweet from Bob Wolf that I'm very, very curious about on why someone would do this. But someone has got Street Fighter 6 for the Nintendo Switch on game keycard graded, and it's in a jewel case and everything. I don't understand why someone would do this with a game keycard. So Bob Wolf says in his tweet here, grading a game keycard is insane, and I would completely agree with him. If I'm not mistaken, the Street Fighter 6 DLC expires within something like 2 years. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so. I think I remember talking about that a while back. And the fact that it's a game keycard, I mean, what happens when servers shut down and you can't get the game? Is it guaranteed that you can get it absolutely forever? I don't know. I don't think the DLC is. It just seems like a very weird thing to get graded and sealed. Taking a look at some of the comments, and they seem to be all over the place, but the majority seem to agree that grading a game keycard makes no sense whatsoever. But there's obviously going to be people defending it, and maybe I'm out in left field by thinking this is absolutely crazy as well, but it does seem to be a popular opinion. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Is this a smart thing to do? Do you think it's valuable? Do you think it will increase in value? Or do you think it'll decrease in value given the circumstances surrounding game keycards? And speaking about Nintendo stuff, next up here we're talking about something that's probably going to generate a bit of maybe controversy, but a whole lot of discussion at the very least. So this is being reported over on Automaton, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. It's titled Nintendo Games Completely Excluded from Japan's Biggest Speedrunning Event, Raising Eyebrows. And yeah, I would agree with that. So from my understanding, the event is RTA, which is held in Japan in winter and summer. And it's being held from August 9th to 15th, and there are no Nintendo games currently listed. Now, I don't know if it's currently, as in they're going to be adding them later, or if they're just not going to be showcased whatsoever. And there is a lot of speculation as to why that may be. If you are curious, some of the speculation is surrounding Nintendo's end user license agreement, which is asking users not to publicize bugs or exploit them for improper use. Also forbidding you from showcasing ways to circumvent a game's technical restrictions. And speedrunning oftentimes uses glitches and bugs and stuff like that to be able to complete the game faster. I'm very curious to see if that is the reason or if there's other reasons on top of that. Nintendo has a reputation, I would say, for not necessarily being the most community-driven event friendly. We'll have to wait and see on this one though, but I'm curious to see if it's affecting other events moving forward. I mean, if we see something similar from GDC, then I would say the writing is on the wall. But let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. At this point in time, I don't think GDC is affected, but I'm curious to see if they will be. And speaking about Nintendo stuff, but not really Nintendo officially, we're talking about Nintendo DS emulation and just emulation in general with the MagixX 040. And the MagixX 040 has just dropped, and it seems the reviews coming in are pretty favorable for this handheld. Now, based on the form factor alone, and I mean, we've talked about this one on the channel, but the device really seems geared towards Nintendo DS emulation as well as vertical arcade emulation and stuff like that. It features an all-winner A133P quad-core Cortex A53 processor with only 2 gigs of RAM. If you are curious about this one, I'd recommend checking out Retro Handheld's YouTube video, and like everything we talk about, links in the description below at the bottom. This handheld is priced at $75, and I guess if you're a huge fan of the Nintendo DS, I wouldn't necessarily say 3DS for this handheld, but if you're a fan of the Nintendo DS, then this may be up your alley. And speaking about stuff that may not necessarily be up people's alley, next up we're talking about Capcom. We've been talking about Capcom a lot recently. The company seems to keep getting W after W. I mean, they seem to be extremely successful in an environment where a lot of companies seem to be struggling and laying off people, and Capcom seems to be expanding. Anyways here, there's a very interesting choice that Capcom avoided that I think a lot of people would have been not happy about. So they say here, and this is being reported over on VGC, Capcom has revealed that it tested open world and online concepts for Resident Evil Requiem before settling on a traditional single-player game. Now, I am pretty sure we've talked about this one in previous videos with the rumor of Resident Evil Requiem being online and open world, and it didn't seem to be very popular. And Capcom said, in the end, although we had some interesting concepts, we realized that it wasn't what fans wanted to see or play. So we went back to the drawing board and created what led to Resident Evil Requiem. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below. Would you have preferred Resident Evil to go into the open world online space, or would you prefer it to be a single player game? But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. I mean, there was a turtle, but the turtle's not that fluffy. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.